live from our studios in downtown Winnipeg. This is Contact. Tonight, Aboriginal music. Inyo hatikay, good evening. I'm Madeline Adakirelek. Aboriginal music has evolved over the years, from traditional and powwow to other genres like reggae and rock. What are your thoughts on this changing trend, and who's your favorite Aboriginal musician? That is what we're asking tonight, and you can call us right now with your thoughts. We're at 1-877-647-2786, or you can even email us. We're at contact@aptn.ca. And joining me in the studio is Brian Wright-McLeod. He is the host of the popular radio program called Renegade Radio, and that's out of Toronto. He's also the author of Encyclopedia of Native Music. We also have Jesse Green. He is a musician, a TV producer, and has his own group called X Status. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Hi, it's awesome. I've wanted to do a music show, so I'm glad you guys could join me in doing it. We're going to go straight to you, Brian, and tell us about this wonderful thing. We were first introduced this book at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And this is the Encyclopedia of Native Music that you put together. How many years of your time was this?
Well, 10 years of basic research and 6 years of constructing and going through a lot of learning about the legalities and working with the publisher and finding an appropriate publisher who, could put it out in a proper way and in the proper context, and having an academic press do it really gave it the type of value, or added to the value that it represents. I mean, nobody's really attempted to catalog commercially released Native music, because it's always been the ethnomusicologists that have kind of kept us in the museum cases. But this brings us right into the 21st century, and it shows the massive contributions that Native artists have made ever since wax cylinder recordings came about.
Well, how far does this go? I mean, we never thought that there was so many pages of Aboriginal music, because it's not just Canada.
No, it's the Arctic Circle from Greenland to Alaska down to the US-Mexico border. I mean, Mexico considers itself to be part of South America. Hawaii is part of Polynesia, so I kept it within the continent.
Okay.
And it spans about a century, and it's amazing to see the number of Native people who were in the jazz scene in the 1920s and 30s and influenced that whole scene with Louis Armstrong, or, even developing bebop. I mean, there was a Native person who had introduced cello as a jazz instrument and helped Dizzy Gillespie formulate what became known as bebop. So, it goes beyond, Buffy St. Marie or Redbone, and even though they've earned their place in the music scene, and they've contributed so much to popular music, that there's, a longer history that's been derived and has influenced what we know in the music scene today, including hip-hop.
Now, Jesse, you and I were both like, hey, we're in there.
Yeah.
You said your old group is in there, but tell us more about X Status and what you're doing these days.
X Status, yeah, we just changed our band name from Killer Green to X Status in about the last year. And we call our music Heavy Techno Powwow. And
what is that? What's Heavy Techno Powwow?
It's kind of our own term we've derived just to kind of describe our music. Everybody asks us what kind of music you play, and we can't really describe it as, it's kind of a mixture of heavy metal, because we all grew up on heavy metal and love Metallica and Megadeth, but we listen to everything as well. And we kind of utilize all the new age kind of techno tools, like synthesizers and keyboards and stuff, and throw in a bunch of like heavy bass and bottom sounds, and then we also throw in contemporary chants here and there and in a few spots, and so that's how we came up with Heavy Techno Powwow.
Awesome. Do you know if there's any group like you elsewhere in
I can't say that I've really heard any. Like usually they just like to stick to heavy metal, and then just heavy metal without any Aboriginal influence in there. Maybe in a lyrical context, but not throwing like contemporary chants in there. So I can't say I've really heard any. No.
Interesting. That's awesome stuff. Now we're asking everyone who their favorite Aboriginal musician is, and of course the phones are ringing. So let's go right to the phones. Jonathan in the Northwest Territories, welcome to Contact.
Hello,
Hey.
this is Jonathan Antoine.
Hi, who's your favorite Aboriginal musician?
There's this band in Fort Simpson, in the NWT.
Right.
It's called Grandma Can't Sew.
I love that name.
Yeah, we play traditional heavy metal, blues, rock and roll, country, punk.
Uh-huh.
And
And why do you like that? Why is that your favorite Aboriginal band?
because I don't know, they play a whole bunch of different kinds of music, and they love music.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right. And another call, this time from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. And you're there, Audrey?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi. Welcome
Hi
to
there.
Contact. Who's your favorite Aboriginal musician?
Well, there's a few of them that I like. I like Jay Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Errol Ranville.
Okay.
Mitch Dion. And Tommy Dudium.
And so why? Why is it? What is it about them that you like?
Oh, just because they have a lot of, I guess, they're really deep into the music, and they have a lot of original, like, tracks and everything. But they're just really good, like, homegrown music, I guess.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in, Audrey.
Thank you.
Now, you were saying that Native music or Aboriginal music goes far beyond Buffy St. Marie and Robbie Robertson, Brian. I mean, when us young guys, young people, I think, when somebody asks us, who's your favorite Aboriginal musician, I mean, that's how far back we think. But tell us a little bit about the history of Native music.
Well, the recorded field, it was, I think they started making wax cylinder recordings in about 1890, and I think Native people in North America are probably the most recorded subjects in that ethnomusicological field throughout the world. And we've been there since the beginning of the technology. And, since residential schools and the military schools started to take kids away and shave their heads and put them in uniforms and teaching them to play in marching bands, that a lot of those musicians, a lot of those kids went out into the world as brown white people and started playing music in a lot of different clubs and a lot of different venues, Dixieland jazz bands, and their contributions are unmarked. I mean, it's an unwritten history of what's happened with the development of Native people within the recording field from, the 78 RPMs to modern times. I mean, it's just so massive that it's trying to trace the lineage of an adopted child. I mean, sometimes it's just impossible to do, but that influence is there, so it's incredible.
Now, we have a clip, and I was wanting you to tell me a little bit more about scattered corn or Densmore cylinder. I don't know what that means or who that was. Do you remember? Here's a clip.
Yeah, Frances Densmore, she grew up in and around the Minnesota area with direct contact with a lot of the people there from the reservations, and she approached it with a certain sensitivity and a certain insight into the culture. A Scattered Corn was a Mandan woman, and this was recorded in about 1910.
Wow.
And the scratchy quality is from the surface of the wax, so that when the cylinder was made, that texture still remained, and they tried to clean it up as best they could, but left it so that you can still hear the age of how far that goes back. And 1910 really isn't that long ago when you really think about the scope of time. But I think modern artists are trying to emulate or even imitate certain traditional songs, and they're creating and inventing new sounds with that.
And we're
probably
going
with
to talk about that, because I'd like to, talk to you about how you incorporate powwow music into your style of music.